All right, let's talk about the school year. School year is coming up. Kids in South Carolina, at least, go back in days. The countdown is on with the new school year.
Yeah.
A new superintendent for York School District 1.
Correct.
Again, I want to read what's on our web article. It says, after 30 days on the job, York School District 1's new superintendent is settling into a role he describes as, quote, drinking from a fire hydrant as the district prepares for rapid growth and a new school year. The superintendent, Heath Branham, spoke with our very own Lisa Washington in a sit-down one-on-one. Let's take a listen into that interview.
July 1st was your first
Yes,
day?
officially.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did some contract work in June to work with the previous superintendent for transition purposes,
Okay.
which was really helpful. But I've had an incredible first month meeting the people that make this district come to life, kids, families, leaders, both inside of the district office, but also our communities, our school principals, from Rotary to Chamber to today I have an appointment with the city manager. So just really getting to know the lay of the land. And I joked with some other new superintendents in York County a couple of days ago. They said, it's been like drinking from a fire hose. And I'm like, no, it's drinking from a fire hydrant. And so with school starting so early, I mean, we start school this coming Monday on August 4th, and teachers came back this week. So there's just been a lot of excitement there, a lot of hope and optimism about what this year is going to bring.
Is being the superintendent is the top position. Is it what you expected?
Well, it is a position, but I don't see it as a nameplate or an office or a chair. I see it as impact. I see it as someone who can help connect the dots for the great things that are already happening here, addressing any challenges that we have head on, but I also see it as boots on the ground. So yes, I have an office, I have a nice chair in my office, but to me, the best leadership is with people, in the trenches with people. And so that's why I've spent so much time outside of this building, getting to know people, getting to know their story, because everyone has a story, and listening to what has been uniquely tradition here, that are great traditions for students and families, but then also looking at opportunities for areas of challenge. This area is starting to grow. We're in Western York County, and so it's the largest geographic school district in York County. About 60% of the land population or land size is here on this side of the western part of York County. And so we're starting to see growth. And so managing that growth, preparing for that growth. In fact, the district just passed a bond referendum this past fall. The community passed that. And so we'll be building a new middle school. That's in the works now. And then updating the Early Childhood Center, the Pinckney Street Center, as well as our York One Academy, our alternative school. And so there's a lot going on that happened before I got here, and so leaning into and on the people that are already here doing amazing things. That's what good leaders do. They surround themselves with people who are experts and who have experience. And I see my job as removing barriers, and helping people connect the dots to communicate it well, both internally and externally. So it's, we're in the people business. We're in the business of people. And the superintendent's job is to make sure we cast a vision, and we have a mission and a vision, and here's where we're going, here's where we are,
Right.
and how are we going to get there. And at the end of the day, all of that filters down to the student in the classroom. So all the positions here at the district office, all the partnerships we have in the community, all of that comes together to serve students, which in turn serves families.
And there are about, I think, 5,000?
Just over 5,000
kids.
and
That's
growing.
a lot of-
Yeah.
and I was going to say, so let's talk about that
Yeah,
growth, because in Charlotte Metro, what we're finding in many of the districts is the rapid amount of growth. This area, this region of the country is really just exploding. How is that one of your biggest challenges, the growth?
For sure, because the district hasn't experienced a lot of population growth previously, but because it has the largest land availability, many of that still is farms and agricultural means. In fact, we just had groundbreaking last month on an ag center that will serve all of York County and beyond. We have a huge technology center here, and organizations like the Future Farmers of America. We have a very large percentage of kids that are invested in that, and their families are invested in that. So we want to make certain that we preserve what has been great about this community, but also embrace the change that's coming without sacrificing who we are as a community. And so for sure, growth is a challenge. It's a challenge in terms of school finance and running and operating schools. As I said before, we passed a bond referendum of $90 million, which we are so appreciative of our public and our community. But then the operating cost to bring in teachers and principals and all the other people that support our schools, that will continue to be a challenge. And if you drive around the city of York and just outside of York, you will see new neighborhoods popping up everywhere. And so we've got to manage that growth and not lose our academic achievement and innovate as much as possible without losing sight of why we're here, and that's students.
And as you said, I mean, the students are the most important aspect
That's right.
of all of this. You mentioned a new middle school, part of the referendum, you'll get the new school. I don't know how many stories we've done about the teacher shortage. Talk about attracting teachers and then retaining them.
Yeah, so when I talk about recruitment and retaining teachers, it's twofold. First off, we're blessed. We're fully staffed right now, which is a fantastic, I think, statement about the quality of the school district and people taking care of teachers and supporting them, our school board, to local community partners, to our principals, taking care of who's here. And so I think what gets left out of the conversation sometimes is working conditions. How do I feel about where I work? Am I supported? Am I developed? Am I given the tools I need to do my job? That's important. And sometimes we forget about the working conditions, about how people feel when they drive to work each day and when they leave each day. Do the teachers and our support staff, our bus drivers, all those, do they feel supported in what they're doing and that they have the tools? That's a big part of the equation. The other is that we have to be compensating in a way that makes us attractive as a school district. And so that goes back to the whole financial piece of how do we recruit and retain. We want to make certain that we're compensating teachers for their value and what they're worth and what they're doing. But simultaneously, and it's not an or proposition, it's working conditions and how I feel about where I work, and am I an important part? Do I make a daily impact? And I need to be compensated well. So when we look at recruitment and retention, we look at are we a place where people can thrive and be creative and innovative and make an impact, make a difference? Because most teachers get in the profession because they want to make a difference. They want to make impact on kids' lives. The truth is, teachers impact other teachers and employees and others. And so the climate and culture of our schools is critically important. And so we have to make certain that it is psychologically safe, that it's a place I want to work, where I can have opportunity to grow. We want to build capacity in our teachers, so you're not just confined to a classroom with a set of 22 kids. You're able to impact many classrooms, many grade levels, many content areas. So we like to look at recruitment and retention as a twofold approach of how do I feel about our work, and do I feel honored and valued, and does my voice matter, and I'm compensated well for my hard work.
As the superintendent, you sort of set the tone, you illustrate the vision. What's your vision? Coming in, this is your first year. What are you looking forward to this year, and what's your vision for this district?
Right, so when I talk to people about vision, I would never say it's my vision. I think it has to be our vision. For a vision to truly be realized, it can't be about one person. It has to be about the collective whole. And so this district has a mantra or a vision of being connected as one. Meaning we're connecting all the dots, and all of that is to support students. We do have a theme this year that connects with that vision, and that is to be seen, to be heard, and to belong. Because every staff member wants to be seen and to be heard. Every student wants to be seen and to be heard. Every community member, parent, family member wants to be seen and be heard. And at the end of the day, we all want to belong to the greater organization, so that we see our place in the organization. We see where we can have voice. We see where we can be heard, our own individual self, as well as our collective wisdom for the whole organization. So we're focusing really on making sure that every student, every family member is seen, heard, and that they feel a sense of belonging. And that's not just for students and families, that's also for our staff. Because for all of this to work, for us to bring our vision to life of being connected as one and reaching high academic learning levels and making sure that every kid is career, college, and or military prepared. That's our final product, but that starts before kindergarten. And so we've got to connect the dots for the whole pre-K through 12 continuum to make certain that our systems, structures, our curriculum, our learning experiences are aligned, so that we don't let any kid any student be unheard, unseen, or feel like they don't belong to York School District 1.
And you have done some work with turnaround districts and making sure that students sort of stay on track and even schools sort of where they should be. How does your previous experience, how do you think that's going to benefit the York students and families?
Right, well, I've learned so much. I don't consider myself an expert, but I've had a ton of experiences in a lot of different places. Suburban, urban, rural, nationally, internationally. And what I've learned is the business we're in is about people. And we have to cast a vision. We have to say, here's where we're going. Here's our compelling future. And get people to invest in that. Not just commit to it, but to be invested in it. And so to do that, we have to have the systems, structures, and supports in place. We have to be very intentional about those. We have to be very clear about those. Because being clear is kind. Brene Brown says, being clear is kind. And so I think people, in real estate, they always talk about location, location, location. In organizations like school districts, it's communication, communication, communication. And so making certain that everyone understands their role and responsibilities and that they're supported in those roles and responsibilities, having high expectations, but not just high expectations, they have to have high support. And so we talk all the time about personalizing learning for students. We have to do the same thing for adults. Because when adults are continually learning and their needs are being met, student achievement follows behind. I've yet to see an organization, whether it was a school that was really struggling academically or a school that was high performing, I've yet to find a school or organization where the leaders and the learners and the staff and the teachers in the building aren't learning constantly and kids' achievement didn't follow suit. And so we as adults, we have to model, as superintendent, as our instructional staff, we have to model what that looks like, sounds like, and feel like, and we've got to walk the talk. We can't just tell it, we have to show it and be it.
You mentioned parents or adults learning, so
Right.
I want to talk about parents. There's been a big push for parents' rights. How do you incorporate or maybe even balance that in the school district?
Yeah, it's difficult, but one thing we have that is our guiding principles are our state standards. And so we're crystal clear about what those standards are from kindergarten through 12th grade across all content areas. All of our curriculum materials have been vetted by the State Department of Education, have had public hearings around the materials, so all those have been vetted, and then our school district gets to choose from the ones that are vetted and approved by the State Board and by the South Carolina Department of Education. So those are the materials we use, and so a lot of that I won't say is foolproof because you could still have questions about it, but we're highly intentional and aligned about what standards we teach and what depth of knowledge is needed for those standards, whether it's math or reading or English or math or geometry, whatever the case may be. We're very intentional that teachers unpack those standards to say, what exactly am I teaching and how am I going to know students learned? And so in terms of the content, the literature that's used in our schools, it's all been through a rigorous process before it ever gets to our school doors.
Speaking of content, let's talk about AI. That's all everybody's talking about these days.
Yes.
How does AI work in the district when you're, for teachers, at different levels, not just for teachers?
Right. So AI can be a beautiful tool, right? It really can. It's kind of like the new frontier. I remember I was alive and well in probably college or post-college when Google and the internet came about and everybody was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And so I feel like in similar ways that's where we are, except we're on an accelerated path even from that point. So what we have to do is any innovation and technology that comes along, we have to make certain, because during the school day what we offer students, we've got to make sure it's safe, secure. We have to follow federal laws, state laws to make certain that, yes, we want our kids to be innovative and creative, but we also have to do it within the confines of public law and what is espoused from the State Department of Education to what we can and can't do. I used an illustration recently when I was asked by a principal about AI and what's its purpose. There are educationally sound, vetted, protected AI systems, program structures for school districts that are great for teachers, that are very efficient, that help you do lesson planning You can plug in the state standard, and it gives you the depth of knowledge. It gives you all these tools. And so we've got to make certain as building level leaders and school district leaders that we are staying in tune with that to make sure that we're on track and that it's vetted and protected. The other part of it is I was using an illustration or analogy recently. I was like, I might be making a salad in my kitchen, and I'm going to get the best knife I have to cut a tomato and cucumbers and onions, right? And that's a great tool. It has a purpose for that. But that tool can also be used to do harm. And so what we have to do is a double-edged sword, so to speak. Its purpose is to help me be more productive and efficient in creating my salad. But we have to do the same thing with AI. We've got to make certain that we are staying in tune with and have our filters in place, because what we don't want to happen is for students to be able to get into an area or arena on the internet or in some AI tool that identifies who they are. So we have very tight protections around student identity, FERPA, and other things that protect students' rights as well as families. And so it's a fine balance. But our technology department and our principals, we have software in place that's constantly updating literally every day to make sure that we're doing everything in our power humanly to protect students from information they shouldn't have their hands on.
Let's talk about technology, in particular cell phones. Your thoughts on the cell phone bans. You know,
Right.
the kids have their phones, they have their watches, they want that. Your thoughts on that and what the district rules are?
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically not district rules, it's state rules, and then districts roll it out based on the state statutes and laws. So I was not in this district when it was implemented last year, but from what I can understand from the people I've spoken to, it went really well. Of course, when we've all been used to, even as adults, our smartphones, is like, we don't even think about it, we just are constantly checking them, right? And it's just like that quick. It's almost like Pavlov's dog, you know, when you hear the bell. So that takes some relearning and undoing, but I've heard many students say in my past district and here that it's really helped them focus and not be so driven by what's coming through social media or cyberbullying or things of that nature. So I think it has gone exceedingly well in this district. That doesn't mean it's gone perfectly, because you're going to have some students that test the limits. There are consequences in place, and it's a scaffolded approach where it moves from conversation and then minimal consequences, parent conversations, family conversations, student conversations, all the way down to in-school, Saturday school, and out-of-school suspension with a number of breaching rules there.
You are new in this school district, and I imagine a district of 5,000. The superintendent, I imagine, might be pretty accessible. What is your message to the parents and even the students of the district as well, with the transition, with the different change and new superintendent? What's your message to them before this upcoming school year?
Yeah, I truly believe, and I just recorded a message prior to this one with internally that's going out to our families, and I truly believe our best days are ahead of us. There's so much excitement right now. There's so many things coming together. People are passionate about the work we're doing. We're seeing results in student achievement. We're seeing more and more kids. Like, in fact, next door to our room right now, we have a faculty doing Leader in Me, so that we're building student agency and student voice and student leadership within our buildings, and that's a district-wide program that we're doing through Leader in Me, Stephen Covey's Leader in Me program. So there are a lot of really amazing things going on, but the bottom line is we appreciate parents trusting us to serve their kids every day, and we truly value their feedback on what's working well, areas we need to improve. We don't want one parent or one family member to go with questions unanswered. And so we have many people in place to help answer questions, to help solve challenges, all the way to, you know, we want parents and families, if they have a challenge or an issue, to go to the source closest to them. If it's with a teacher, let's meet with the teacher. If it's with a school procedure, let's go to the school and figure out why. If we can figure out the why, sometimes that helps us understand. But the bottom line is, our families, our students are why our organization exists. And so their feedback to us, their trust in us, is paramount to everything we do.
Are there any changes or anything that's being implemented or starting with this current school year? Anything that It's different?
So not really any major changes in terms of curriculum, instruction, things of that nature. The one change that's a positive change is a new software app for parents called Parent Square. And it's going to help them be, it's a new technology. When technology changes, it's like, oh no, what do we do? But it's pretty intuitive, it's pretty easy to use, and it will allow parents to communicate with us and us with parents very easily. It's a one-stop shop. It allows texting, it allows texting, voice calls, messaging. Parents can say, hey, I have 3 kids and they're in 3 different schools. I don't want to be getting messages all day long, ping, 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 ping. So they can even set it to say, I want an archive. I want to get my messages at night. Now, we hope there aren't any emergencies, but if there's an emergency or we close for a gas leak or inclement weather or a water main break, we're able to communicate with families and override that archive setting so they know right now. But it's a one-stop shop for parents to really help them have accessibility to what we're doing in our classrooms, what their kids are learning, all the way through from the school board all the way down to the grassroots level in the classrooms and the schools. So it's a great tool. It's just anytime there's anything new, we've got to really help people understand it, practice it, promote it until we get 99, 100% participation rate, because that's when you know that our messages are going out, but also, as equally important, messages are coming into us and we can act on them in a quick and efficient manner.
I have 2 kids in CMS, and I have Parent Square
Yes.
on my phone. It is great, but don't sign up for all the alerts.
Correct.
It will be.
Correct. That's why it's important to do the archive setting.
Yes.
Because if someone needs to get you, they can override that.
Right.
But the archive setting allows families to say, I just want it at night, and come all at once.
Yeah, not the alerts.
That's right.
I made that mistake. I learned the hard.
Yeah.
What is happening to
Right,
my phone?
right.
So,
It will ping, ping, ping for sure.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No, this has been great.
All right, so that was a great interview, one-on-one there with York School District 1's new superintendent, Heath Branham. I love the analogy he used. Quote, it's been like drinking from a fire hydrant after the 30 days on the job.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's a lot to take. It's a tough job.
Yeah, I imagine
It's a tough. You got to think about student safety, teacher retention,
Yep.
Preparing teachers for the upcoming school year.
Right.
A lot on your plate, but it sounds like he has his feet planted on the ground there. So we wish much success for the students and staff within York School District 1 and all over across our area when it comes to back to school. I can't believe school is
here.
Is here.
It is here.
Man, I mean, our kids, I know y'all been enjoying this summer break. I know it.
Yeah.
But it's time to go back to the classroom,
Yeah.
y'all.